Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive technological paradigm shift. We're talking about the move from scattered, single-purpose applications to unified, all-powerful digital Swiss Army knives. Honestly, if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the sheer number of icons cluttering up your phone, you're going to find this fascinating. We're looking at the evolution of the digital ecosystem itself. So let's dive right into this. For years, the prevailing philosophy in the tech world was simply, there's an app for that, right? And that drove a hyper-fragmented economy. You want food? Open one app. Need a ride? Open a totally different one. But today, that cluttered home screen is facing fierce competition from singular platforms that do absolutely everything. We're rapidly moving away from 20 specialized apps eating up your time and storage toward one unified super app. To really grasp the sheer scale of this evolution, consider WeChat. What started way back in 2011 as just a simple messaging app has evolved into an indispensable utility. It handles daily life for over 1.3 billion users entirely within one single application interface. Think about that number for a second. That's a massive portion of the global population conducting their entire digital existence through just one portal. So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll hit 1. The super app paradigm, 2. Anatomy of a super app, 3. The Western app divide, 4. The flaw of centralization, and finally, 5. Building your little world. All right, let's start with section 1, the super app paradigm, redefining the digital ecosystem. Now, the term itself was actually coined back in 2010 by BlackBerry founder Mike Lazardes. A super app is essentially an entire operating system housed within a single app. It gives you this incredibly seamless suite of services without needing to register for 20 different accounts or type in your credit card 20 different times. Once you're inside that main umbrella application, you instantly have access to a massive array of internal modules and third-party integrations. And you can see this brilliantly illustrated by pioneers like WeChat and Alipay in China, and later on with global adoptions like Grab in Southeast Asia or Rappi in Latin America. They completely transformed basic chat or wallet apps into these digital powerhouses. On WeChat, you aren't just texting your friends. You're playing games, paying utility bills, ordering food, booking doctor appointments, and yes, you can literally even file for divorce. Alipay went from a simple digital escrow service to handling wealth management and bike sharing. It completely redefines the boundaries of what a single piece of software can actually do. Moving right along to section 2, anatomy of a super app. How do they actually work? Managing this kind of overwhelming complexity behind the scenes relies on a core two-step engine. First up, you have a communication layer, usually social chat. This is crucial because it keeps you checking your phone dozens of times a day, driving massive daily active usage. Second, you pair that with a financial layer, basically a digital wallet. Once your bank is linked up, that transactional grease drops purchasing friction to zero. Since you're already in the app talking to friends anyway, buying something becomes just as easy as sending a text. But here is the real secret sauce, the mini program. You see, super app operators don't actually build every single service themselves. Instead, they allow third-party developers to build tiny, instant-loading micro-apps that piggyback off the main platform's unified identity system and native hardware APIs. So they get to use the digital bridges that let software talk to your phone's camera or GPS. These are super lightweight, usually under 10 megabytes, written in standard web tech, and they load instantly because you don't have to go out and download anything from an external app store. To pull all that off, it takes some seriously sophisticated micro front-end architecture to funnel everything into one smooth experience. You've got the client layer acting as the outer shell from the App Store, then a custom runtime engine that executes those mini programs instantly. You layer on biometric security so your face or fingerprint logs you in just once, and tie it all together with fintech payment rails for zero-click transactions and microservices connecting developers to core resources. It's a total masterclass in software engineering, specifically designed to make complexity feel completely invisible to you, the user. Which brings us to section 3, the Western app divide. Why is the West so fragmented? So if this architecture is so efficient, why don't we see it everywhere in the US and Europe? The source material outlines 4 major structural roadblocks. First, we have the unbundled legacy. Western internet culture really grew up on desktop computers where we bookmarked separate websites, so our early mobile strategies favored specialized, separate apps. Second, we already had highly mature, robust credit card networks, whereas emerging markets often leapfrogged straight from being unbanked to using mobile wallets. Third, Apple and Google have historically been very strict, heavily restricting apps from acting as their own app stores or running dynamic code. And finally, heavy privacy and antitrust regulations like Europe's GDPR or California's CCPA make regulators hypersensitive to the idea of one single company controlling all your social, financial, and retail data. But despite those regulatory and historical hurdles, the West is totally playing catch-up. Companies like Uber, PayPal, and Elon Musk's X are actively trying to transition their platforms into Western super apps. They're aggressively integrating adjacent services to capture that elusive everything app magic, because they know that owning the ecosystem is literally the ultimate competitive advantage. However, owning the ecosystem definitely comes with a dark side. Let's look at Section 4, the flaw of centralization, the cost of convenience. As the source material points out, the traditional Web2 Super App model has one critical vulnerability. Because you conduct your entire life within a single ecosystem, these centralized corporations harvest incredibly holistic data sets. They know what you eat, where you go, what you buy, and who you talk to. And that gives them absolute control. They can charge massive commission fees, or worse, they can completely deplatform users and creators at a moment's notice. The cost of ultimate convenience is, unfortunately, ultimate centralization. But that begs a massive rhetorical question. What if? What if you didn't need a corporate monopoly? What if you didn't need billions of dollars or permission from Apple and Google to build your own integrated ecosystem? What if the power of the super app could be democratized? That leads us right into our final section, looking at the next documented evolution of this tech, Section 5. Building your little world, the dawn of Web 4 and modular communities. The paradigm is fundamentally shifting. We're moving away from corporate-owned Web 2 silos, where you're basically just leasing server space, toward a decentralized Web 4 model. This moves beyond basic crypto into a space where independent communities truly own their data and digital assets. It's a massive shift from being a mere tenant in a giant corporation's app to being the sovereign owner of your own integrated ecosystem. The source specifically highlights platforms like Web4.community. These use decentralized identity and storage to let anyone, and I mean anyone, assemble a custom, modular ecosystem for their business or movement. It's an entirely new kind of launchpad designed to let you build a self-contained little world, entirely bypassing the traditional gatekeepers. And look at what this actually enables. Without needing a massive team of engineers, you can use no-code modular integration to stitch together social spaces, collaborative documents, media feeds, and custom tools. Because it sits on decentralized infrastructure, you have true ownership. You get frictionless collaboration where users can chat, vote, and coordinate all in one place. You can even introduce custom financial and governance tools, like your own native tokenomics, right into your portal. You are essentially creating a self-sustaining microeconomy for your own community. The super app paradigm proves without a doubt that unified utility is the future. But as we move from an era defined by Asian tech giants to a future driven by sovereign creators, modular communities, and independent developers, the power is shifting directly into your hands. The tools to build your own ecosystem are already here, so the only question left for you is, what will you build inside yours?